Hey, everybody, welcome to the Nation That's BBQ Nation. I'm JT, along with my co-host, co-pilot, and very good friend, Hall of Famer, I might add, Leanne Whippen, from our respective Turn It, Don't Burn It studios in Portland and Tampa. We'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. Well, we've got a returning guest today who is rapidly becoming one of our favorites here. Aly Romero is with us today. She's the What's for Dinner mom and the blogger and all that. But she's got a brand new cookbook. Aly, hold up your cookbook. There you go. Called Gas Fire Heat. They're all her recipes, her photography, her writing, and it's a great book. It's a very pretty book too. I people don't usually say that, but it's a very pretty book. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the show, kiddo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'll ask the obvious question first. Why on earth would you write a cookbook?
Well, it was always something that I kind of wanted to do. I think that as your journey progresses, and it's kind of started off along the way with putting it all out there on my food blog and on social media, on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. And that led into, some TV competition shows. And then it was kind of like, what's next? I mean, it's just kind of, what else can you do that's going to add credibility and kind of like keep pushing you forward in this career that I've always started off with saying, I'm going to put it out there and see what happens. And this is where I'm at. So a cookbook was definitely on my radar and something that I always had wanted to do. And I wanted to have something to like leave my family and leave my kids one day. I'm hopefully, heaven forbid, that's a long time from now, but wanted to leave something permanent. And so I'm extremely proud of Gas Fire Heat.
So did you do the curmudgeonly author thing and lock yourself in your home office and kind of they've had to slide food under the door to you and that type of thing when you were drafting the book? I mean, you got to cook
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah. And you got to cook the recipes and take pictures of them and all that. But did you do that, or did you do the process of, I already have a bunch, let's see how they work together and compile it?
Luckily, I have notebooks and notebooks full of recipes. So whenever I cook something, because it would either sometimes end up on my food blog website, or, it would be something where I'd either check it off and say, this is good to go, or this needs work, or whatever it is. So I had a ton of recipes ready to go, as I still have a ton of recipes continuing to be ready to go for anything in the future. But it was a lot of work, but as you know, it's a 2-year process. So I had about a year from, spring 2 years ago until I think it was like the end of May last year. And that's when the manuscript was due. And it's about 80 recipes. So everything in the book, I have cooked, tested down to the salt and pepper. Our family has eaten everything in it. And yeah, it was definitely a lengthy process and a labor of love, but I think that's why I'm even more proud of it, is because I know how much work went into it. And I think it's pretty fantastic. I'm pretty excited about it.
One of the things, Leanne, if you jump in if you want to, but I was going to say one of the things I liked about the book a lot, besides its look and the recipes and stuff, is in your recipes, you don't get down into what I call the minutia of things, where you need 1/16 of a gram of cumin or something in there. They're very practical recipes.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just how I cook, right? I mean, if it's like, if I want cumin in there, I'm either going to add like a teaspoon, a half a tablespoon, or a tablespoon, and, and definitely keeping it with approachable, easy to find ingredients that you can find at your neighborhood supermarket. Nothing that's going to be, you go out of your way to find 10 things that you're going to use this much of. I mean, it's supposed to be something that's just easy, but elevated with maybe just a couple of extra ingredients that maybe somebody hasn't added before, that really kind of make it unique and different and taste great.
Well, that's good. I like that. I like that. What does your family think of all this?
They think it's pretty cool. I mean, the kids have kind of seen this, from day one, from going to culinary school, and kind of the progressions and the things that go my way. And then likewise, the things that haven't gone my way. So they think it's pretty cool. I think that, they don't complain when I make dinner. I think that they are starting to get the fact that, that I'm trying to provide meals for them that are homemade, they're delicious, some are healthy, some are not, but they think it's pretty cool. And it's great to be able to share this experience with them and know that it takes getting up every day and being, having my own business is you are the only one to push it forward. No one is going to call you and tell you what to do and how to do it. You just have to make it happen.
Do you, at the Romero house, do you have Tuesday night pot roast? And I say that you seem like you're always creating something, and I'm sure the family has favorites. But do you ever find yourself that, yeah, they want pot roast every Tuesday night, or do you mix it up for them all the time?
I completely mix it up. There is except for Taco Tuesday, right? Because everyone knows Taco Tuesday. And so if they really want tacos and it happens to be a Tuesday, they know they have a good chance of it if they're like, Mom, it's Taco Tuesday. But I don't have a schedule. I don't really plan out meals. It's more just like I had talked to you guys in the first podcast that we had together, what my dad did. It's like wake up in the morning and what sounds good today? Like what's for dinner? So it's not something that's usually planned out, and it's definitely not set in stone. And not every kid loves everything I make. So I'm like, well, this is what's for dinner. And tonight might not be your night, but maybe tomorrow night is your night. They're pretty good.
Are you going on tour with the book?
I'm doing some local, I've done a couple actually. I did a book signing here in South Lake, Texas, which is in DFW area at Williams-Sonoma. I have another one this weekend locally, and then a couple of others that are kind of in the works that we're working on that, but I'm not, and I'll probably be coming back to the Bay Area in California just because we lived there for so long, and my publisher is trying to work out all the details on that to line that up, as well as with my partnership with Heston. They're building a new retail facility out in Napa with their wines and their cookware and everything. And they've been really a great partner over the last 6 or 7 years. So I probably will be out there to do something in the Bay Area and Napa as well.
Okay.
Yeah, to see if you can swing up to Portland. It's only 90
Yeah.
minute flight. So
yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I don't say no to any of these opportunities. I think they're all a blessing, and I'm just grateful. So I'd love that.
When you finish the book, unfortunately for authors and stuff, books are never completely finished. Even after you turn in the manuscript, you think I could have done, and then you got some pesky editor there that's telling you you need to change this or spiff this up. But did you breathe a big sigh of relief when you finally said, okay, it's done. They're not sending me back any drafts. It's going to the presses.
Yes. I mean, yes and no. It's a huge sigh of relief, but I think we did close to 10 editing drafts. And every time, I'm fairly type A with details and all of that. And so I kept finding things, and I was like, oh my gosh, when am I gonna not find things? And so when I had done, like I said, it was close to the 10th revision, or just going through, literally reading the book cover to cover, word for word. And I said, okay, this is it. And I told my husband, and he said, okay it, and don't look at it. And I think that was great advice, because at that point, what can you do? And you just hope that everything is out there and it's correct and all of and all of that. But it's, that's all you can do. But yeah, it's a huge relief, right? That last time you hit okay, go to print, and that's a great feeling for sure.
I wrote a book 15 years ago, which is out of print, thank goodness. But when we got the first copies, I mean, everything had been okay. They came in, my wife's reading it. They found 17 mistakes.
Oh no.
And they wrote them down on the legal pad. Her and my daughter and my friends were there, and because they were all excited to read it. And it was a holiday book. And anyway, I was like, oh geez, this never ends. So
that's almost like, can we just not talk about it? Like, can we I mean, at that point, you can't do anything. It's different if it's like, oh, I found these mistakes, go tell, you could change it. But once you can't do anything, you can't do anything.
How did you come up with the name for the book?
So that's a great question. Actually, my now 14-year-old son, who is my youngest, going into high school next year, he came up with it at 12 years old. So the boys, both of my boys, a couple years ago, oh, that's gas, oh, that's fire, and just like back and forth. And then I told him I was going to write a barbecue grilling, smoking cookbook. And he said, oh, just off on a whim. He goes, Mom, you should call it Gas, Fire, Heat. And so I ran it by the publisher, and I said, my 12-year-old came up with this. And I said, but I'm throwing it out there in case you like it. And they're like, we love it. So if you love it,
Yeah.
we love it. Let's go with it. So he
Wow.
named the book.
That's
So-
awesome.
So is he going to get a royalty?
He gets one from me already by, I pay him in food,
Yeah,
food
exactly.
and shelter.
Is there anything that you wanted to put in the book and you had to pull out and save for another day?
Yeah, because it was an outdoor cookbook and I do both indoor cooking as well as the barbecue grilling and smoking.
Right.
And the book really is transitional, meaning like 400 on my Traeger is also 400 in your oven. Or if it's, the middle of winter in Minnesota and you don't want to go out to your grill, you can use a grill pan. You know what I mean? The recipes are the recipes as far as the marinades, the sauces, you're going to get a similar effect whether you do them inside or outside.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there are things I did on my Traeger that had that smoky element or, whatever the wood pellet flavor was that I chose. And I scrapped it and said, okay, I'm going to leave this in case I write an indoor cookbook or something else down the line. This is not my favorite place for this. So,
Uh-huh.
an example I think of is I did like a roasted tomato soup and I was like, I like it better inside than I did that day outside. So things like that I just kind of scrapped for only that reason, just because I was like, oh, I don't know if it necessarily translates like I want it to.
Well, how many initial recipes did you give them to look at before they selected X amount?
It was about the same amount. I think I believe that what I proposed was 75. And then I came up with around 80 once you consider all of, there's a whole section in the back with different types of basics, meaning different types of spice rubs. My favorite go-to Mexican spice rub if I'm going to make tacos or carnitas or whatever, or mango salsa or pineapple salsa, all kinds of things. So those all kind of added into that as well. And then they are used in recipes throughout the book.
There you go. We got to take a break here on BBQ Nation Radio Network, but we're going to be back with Aly Romero and talk about her new cookbook, Gas Fire Heat. And we're going to ply her with many questions as we always do. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the Nation, BBQ Nation. I'm JT, along with Hall of Famer Leanne Whippen. You can contact us through the BBQ Nation website, or you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can find us. We have individual accounts and we have show accounts. And so we even accept carrier pigeons. So Leanne might cook one though, but I don't know. But anyway, if you want to reach out to us, that's fine. And we try to respond accordingly. Also, we've got something in the works coming up a little later this summer, where if we can find time to be in the same side of the continent together, we're going to do a live show. I haven't told her yet, so I'm telling her right now.
I was like, what?
We're going to do a live show, and I think Meathead's going to join us too. So we'll see about that. Anyway, we're talking with Aly Romero today. Her new book, Gas Fire Heat, which comes out this next week, right?
June 11th.
June 11th, like that. And it's going to be, do you know where it's going to be? Is it going to be on all the major bookstores and Amazon, or where can they find it?
Yes, so you can order it on Amazon. It's also available through Abrams and Familius, who is my publisher. And then anywhere, if you Google it, anywhere books are sold, you can order it, Target, Walmart, Amazon, any of those.
Yeah.
Aly, we don't know each other very well. We've only talked a couple, 3 times, but I think this is the most excited I've ever seen you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Why, it's been a process and now it's here. And it's not quite here yet. We're gearing up the next little bit less than 2 weeks. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Good for you. Good for you. As you were going through this, you said you also did the photography on this. And I know with your previous work and your guest appearances and the, the food truck races and all those different things, food photography is not easy.
No.
It is not easy. Leanne can tell you, I can tell you, she works on some very big food shoots. with her sister, who's like a world-class food stylist and this type of thing.
Mhm.
When we do them here, you've got me. I wouldn't say I was a world-class food stylist, but I can make things pretty. How difficult was that? I mean, you have an image in your mind, but sometimes it's difficult to make that image representative on the plate.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I think that the one good thing is that because you're fitting it into, a space that's going to be on a page, it really is food focused. And yes, you have props and things like that that you can kind of put around it to make it interesting, but it's really about the food. So there were some that I took that once I turned in the manuscript, I went back probably about 10 that I remade and reshot the photo just because, again, once you kind of put it out to the world, you want it to be your absolute best work. And I wasn't completely satisfied with how it, like you said, how it conveyed in a photo. I thought, okay, I can do this better, or I can position it better. And it's
Did you
definitely a
use one
big
of
part
those
the process.
food boxes, that they use for taking food pictures and
I
special
didn't.
camera?
I put them at various places around my house. We have a lot of windows that are all on this side of the house. And so I did a ton of them just on a table, on a on a fireplace, outside, near the grill, just wherever
Uh-huh.
I could find natural light. And that was the other thing too that was a little bit challenging, was that I was trying to do the cooking, plating, and photography all before, you lose light in the middle of the winter. Sometimes that's close to 5 p.m. So it was tricky to kind of get it all in there, but I just use natural light.
Uh-huh.
I happen to like natural light
Me too.
in images. Sometimes you can look at some of the cookbooks, not in yours, and I know Meathead he was on the show a few days ago, but he's gotten into photography and he's just turned in his manuscript for his second book. And I think what took him the longest was the photography. I mean, he got into a full-blown studio in his basement, just like, but sometimes, excuse me, sometimes when you look at cookbooks, and Leanne, I'd like your take on this too, uh, it almost looks too staged. The lighting is too perfect. You know what I mean? Not to be critical, but I like to see things like, if I cook this recipe, it's going to look almost exactly like it did in the book, not
Mhm.
like, you cooked it, you followed the instructions, you've got some skills, you put it together, it all looks great to you, but it doesn't look like it does in the book. So, I wanted your take on that, Leanne, actually.
Well, I mean, as she said, she wants to put her best foot forward. So she wants the photography to be that as well.
Yeah.
So it is gonna look like a piece of art, if you will. And, Meathead, he actually, I think, wanted to create art with the food pictures because back in the day when he took photography, in college or whatever, he learned a lot of methods and ways to take photographs that are unusual. So he's trying to, I think, not only come out with a book with content but is art. I
Yeah.
think that he's kind of art focused. So yeah, they are going to look beautiful and perfect. And when you make it, it's not going to look like that. But I mean, it's just like when my sister and I are food styling for commercials, you are not going to get a taco from Taco Bell that's going to look like a taco we're putting out there.
No.
It's just, because you want the food to look good and it's not realistic. And Allie, when you make it, not every dish is going to look like your photograph, but that's just the way it is. You want it in a book, you want it to look good. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Mhm.
I just think it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. If anybody's listening has ever tried to do a book or even to do online images, unless it's just a quick snap with your iPhone or something and you throw it out there on Twitter and do a little Photoshop or bring the edges in or crop it or whatever. It's a lot of work to make that.
Like obviously last night, I did not take a lot of time taking the picture behind me.
But you know what? That looks, but
I
okay.
took a before and after for my daughter, the one when it came tumbling down because I stacked it.
But it does look delicious, though.
It really
Yeah.
was
It's
quite
like,
good.
okay, well, it looks like something you're about to eat, which is what
Yeah.
you want, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Did your family contribute to this besides the title? Uh, did they take a vote on the recipes or anything?
No, they let me, I mean, I drove the train on this. I was pretty sure of what I wanted. Once I kind of had laid out what chapters I wanted, what I kind of wanted included in each chapter, and really brought that together, because it's really a culmination of all of the places I've lived and traveled throughout my life. Because I was born in New Zealand, lived in Hawaii, lived in California for like 25 years, and now I've been in Texas for about 2.5 years. So it's really, as you look through the recipes, there's a lot of California influences. There's Mexico, which we had a lot of Mexican food in California, which had a lot of those flavors. Hawaii, there's, grilled beef, the beef short ribs, huli huli chicken. There's things that really just kind of were brought through with that. So I cooked the dishes, and then I made the decision on, whether or
Good.
not it was going to stay in. and all
Good,
that.
good for you.
Yeah.
We're going to take another break. We're going to be back with Aly Romero in her new book, Gas Fire Heat, which is, I thought itches, doesn't itch at all. The book is coming out. I'll stop blabbering in about 10 days after this show. So be looking for that. But Aly and Leanne and I will be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. I'm JT, along with Leanne Whippen, Hall of Famer, I might add, and television star. We're talking with Aly Romero today. We'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and also the proud owner of Pig Powder, just happens to be on this broadcast right there, Ms. Whippen.
Yeah, and Father's Day is coming up, so that's a good gift for dads. Pig powder dry rub, a rub that my dad developed and has really stood the test of time, still used actively in competition, and people are still winning with it, and very versatile. And go to pigpowder.com or Amazon. You can actually find it on now.
There you go. You're not doing the autographed pictures anymore?
Not at the moment, but I will reveal that there is a spicy pig powder coming out. I have approved the recipe and the changes. So even even though it does have heat, I'm bringing it to a next level heat because some people have asked for that. Don't know when it's going to be coming down the pipeline, but it is in the works.
Good for you.
Congrats. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Thank you.
Aly, in the book, what is your absolute drop dead favorite recipe? I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
I know. I think it's got to be the beef ribs. I mean, I know it's just a labor of love that you kind of work at all day. But there's nothing like smoked, beef ribs. I think that they're amazing and so simple yet so satisfying. That's one of my absolute favorite recipes in the book. I mean, I have more than one, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite.
What's the one that you cook for your family the most out of the book? I know you don't keep a tabulation sheet next to the stove there, but
No, the huli huli chicken skewers, I make them quite a bit. So huli like as far as from Hawaii, that means turn. So it's chicken that's basted in this kind of like a Hawaiian type of barbecue sauce where it still has the base of ketchup, but then you're adding, ginger and soy, and I add some sriracha to kind of give it a little kick, some honey, things like that. So it's that's one of my favorites. I turned it into a skewer, and I do that in my private chefing, for some of my private chef clients, and they're always a big hit. And so that's another one that I make quite often.
are you gonna have a case of books in the back of your car when you do your private chefing? You can have a little autograph session
should.
there at the end
You
of the
should.
night.
I do. I actually have books in my car as we speak because these book signings that I've had, it's like if it's not stocked in the store where the book signing is and they can't create the SKU or whatever, then I need to bring the books with me. And so that's exactly what I've done.
Well, good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. I know more than one author who always seems to have at least a dozen books in their car for people. And that's a good thing. That's absolutely a good thing.
You never know.
You just never know like that. I'm kind of curious though. would you estimate that the amount of time that you did in developing all these recipes, you didn't do them all at once. It was a, you know, culmination over years of working in the food industry. But how long do you think, if you added it up in your head, did it take you to say, I have 10 years in this or whatever, you know, I don't know, but I'm always curious about that with how much time people put in before they even consider it to put it in one of their books.
As far as for a recipe or as far as
Yeah.
how long? Okay, so I mean, it depends. There's certain ideas that I get and I try them and they work and I kind of get lucky. I actually, usually I'll have an idea or a concept if I'm thinking of something that I can write down in a notebook and then cook it. So I'll write it, I'll think of it, I'll write it loosely without obviously approximate measurements. I'll just put down an idea and then I'll cook it or smoke it or grill it or whatever. Then I will tweak measurements. And then I either say, okay, this was good to go, or this needs, again, I need to try this again. So it really depends. I mean, I have some that I've made. I have carnitas that really I started off on the You on the Chew recipe showdown back in 2018 or whatever it was, where I submitted that recipe for carnitas street tacos. And I've made carnitas so many times that I think the way I make carnitas now is completely evolved from when I first, wrote the
Yeah.
recipe. So
Oh, yeah.
it depends, but yeah, I mean, I think recipes can go on for 10 years or they can be in a couple of days.
Do you find yourself tweaking all the time?
Yes.
With your even stuff you've created prior?
Yep. I think so. Sometimes I think, oh, that needs a little more of this, or I want to kick that up and make that, spicier. And so, yeah, I think there's always kind of a tweaking process. You're always kind of striving for like, how can I make it even better?
So
Yeah.
manufacturers of spices are very different, and the spice, I don't know, just the way they taste, it's very different. Did you stick to a particular brand when using spices?
So I did a combination of both. I made my own spice rubs, and then I also use Meat Church quite a bit. So he's a friend of mine here in Texas, Matt Pittman. And so I used some of his seasonings through, a couple of the recipes, but other than that, I usually created kind of my own recipe for different
Yeah,
rubs.
but when you use like a base, like do you use tones, or, does it matter to you what you use?
As far as a brand of a spice?
Yeah, yeah.
I have all kinds. I have all different
okay.
brands. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Because garlic powder, yeah, no, I'm not just sticking with like one brand of garlic powder or one brand
Yeah.
of smoked paprika.
Which is good, because for the everyday person, you want it to be something that they don't have to worry about a particular brand. So that's
Right.
good.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, out of gas, fire, and heat, as it were, what's your favorite to cook on, Aly? I mean, you've got you mentioned Traeger earlier. I'm sure you've got a gas grill out there. You've got live fire grills. You've got your beautiful oven and stovetop right behind us. What does Aly like to do most?
I like to keep it exciting. I think that I cook on all of them. I think that my Traeger is my favorite as far as it's easy to just kind of set it. If I'm doing a long cook, it's very easy to set it and kind of forget it, they say. So I do like that. I do like the enhancement of the various wood pellet, smoke that you can add to a dish. I like the char that I get on a gas grill. I love the smash burgers on my griddle, and I do a ton in my home kitchen as well. So I think that's the idea, is really just there's so many ways to do it, and that doesn't mean that one way is necessarily like the best way, but it just shows the versatility that you can cook indoors, outdoors. We're coming up upon a hopefully beautiful grilling season, and everybody
Yeah.
wants to be outside with family and friends. And so for me, it's kind of like an outside lifestyle experience of, why be stuck in the kitchen? If everybody's at the pool, why can't you just be out there and cook everything out there? I mean, you can, there's quesos and, different kinds of dips that I did in the book that are all outdoors. I mean, you don't have to be in here slaving away at the oven. You can be outside enjoying it.
There you go.
Did you seek out a publisher or did they seek out you?
I was connected through a friend of mine who I knew from Next Food Network Star, which is another show on Food Network. And I reached out to him because he had just published a book. And I think it's always like when you know what you want to do, you kind of say, hey, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
sure.
is
All right,
there
so
anyone
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
is there anyone I can email, or how do I put together a proposal? I mean, then I'm researching how to put together a cookbook proposal. And I had reached out to a couple before I knew, that he would give me the warm introduction, which I was really appreciative of with Familius. But I wrote a couple that I put out there and just, never heard anything. And it's like one of those things where you just have to put it out there because you just never know.
Right.
Do you feel, because the first thing I thought of when I saw the title of the book, I thought it was a little gutsy to say gas, because now you're in Texas and I think you're going to get pushback because people are going to be like, you're in Texas now. How could you tout gas? But I think it's great because in reality, people use gas grills. It isn't all about live fire and cooking over wood. So, and some people just can't or won't do that, so did you feel like it was a little risky?
Not until this very moment. I mean, here's the deal, right? It's me. I'm not trying to be anybody that I'm not. And I'm not going to walk into Texas and say that I know everything about Texas barbecue because I'm a new kid here. And I've always been the first person to say, I want to know more about how you do it. Teach me. I want to be a sponge. Like I want to learn how to do all things better, and nobody's perfect at everything. Right. So for me, it's an example of utilizing what I have available to me. And it is gas, it is fire, and it is heat because it's using all different modes, and people across the country and, in various countries or whatever are using what they have. And so, there's a lot of smoked or live fire that I have, out on the Birch Barrel and things like that. But there's also a place for other vehicles to cook your food too. And so it's me. I mean, all I can say is
I think it's going to
like,
help with sales actually, because everyone right now is doing live fire books, and
right.
charcoal, so if anything, I think it's going to help with the sales because in reality, I mean, a lot of people use gas. So
Well, actually, let me back you up on that, Leanne. More people in this country cook with gas grills than pellet grills or, the Weber domes, like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of those, but there's something like, and I read the stat, this is last year, but there were something like 90 million people that cook on gas grills in this country.
That's why I think it's going to benefit her. In
oh,
her
yeah.
sales.
Yeah. I mean,
I hope so.
I know I've spent a lot of time in Texas, and I know they can shoot straighter and jump higher and rope faster and, line dance better or whatever they do. And I got an education there years ago when I went to some friends and stayed with some friends after a show, and they had their smoker and they were live fire and they were doing this and that. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is one way to cook. I mean, we do that up home too, but I don't want to wait all day to eat. I got a plane to catch, type thing like that. So good on you, like Leanne is saying, for putting gas that right up front, right on top.
Yeah.
I mean, there it is. It's just
no question.
It's one method, right? It's like it's supposed to really just mean use what you got. Here's how to hopefully come up with some fun and creative recipes where you can have a ton of flavor no matter what you're cooking with. And like I said, I mean, these even can be cooked inside. If you don't want to go outside for weather reasons, or you don't have outdoor gears and grill and all the stuff, cook it in your oven, cook it on a grill pan, like use what you've got.
I love it. I think it's fantastic.
I actually think that's the title of your next book. Use what you got. Anyway, we got to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap up the regular show with Aly Romero here and her new book, Gas Fire Heat. And we'll all be back right after this. Welcome back to the Nation, BBQ Nation. And we've got Aly Romero with us today. Next week, the big man himself, Meathead, is getting you ready for spring and summer vegetables, fruits, Father's Day. He answers the question that is pressing on everybody's mind. How do you cut your sandwich? Leanne does too. So,
Yeah, so
and I
good.
even did. So usually I stay out of those things, but yeah, we did that. But today we're talking with our friend Aly Romero here. Her new book, like I said, I can't punch it up enough for her, Gas Fire Heat. They're essential recipes and secrets for cooking outdoors from Aly there. So, Aly, I've got a question for you. This has nothing to do with your book, but behind you on the wall above your stovetop, what is that? It looks
Over
like
You
it,
mean below the hood?
yeah, below the hood.
The pot filler?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
That's just a water, for pasta, or that's just a pot filler.
Oh, it's water.
Oh, it
Okay.
comes out of the wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Swing.
see,
Yes.
I see.
Okay.
You're not carrying a big heavy pot of water,
Wow, that's
Ah,
super convenient. I love
Yeah.
that.
yeah. Because I thought it was like something to hang something on or whatever,
Oh,
and
I know.
I couldn't see everything there. So,
I mean, it could double as that, I guess. I don't know what you'd want to hang there, but you could, sure.
Yeah.
well, at my house, it'd
Oh,
probably
that's
have a beer
fantastic.
holder or something on it there like that, do
Mine
that.
would be a wine holder.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. Leanne's would be what is it? What
I
do you
don't
whistle
know.
pig? Whistle pig. You like whistle
Whistle
pig?
pig, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
she
good.
does that.
Mhm.
So I know this is early in the game, Aly, but you think you'll do another book at some point?
Yes, I'm hopeful for that. Actually, I've had some conversations with my publisher surrounding that. And so we have some ideas kind of floating around, but if I was given that opportunity, I would jump at it. I mean, I think even though, like I said, it's such a long and extensive 2-year process, especially when you don't have a team of people and you're doing every aspect of it, except for the publishing and the printing yourself. But that being said, I would do it again in a heartbeat tomorrow because it was
How
just,
do you
it's fun.
how do you handle the writing though? I mean, the content, because a lot of people have ghostwriters because they can't write. Do you feel like you have somewhat writing talent? You must.
I mean, I guess maybe I did. I mean, I was a communications major in college, so perhaps that helps. But
Sure.
I just wrote a little blurb. It's really recipe and photo. I made sure there had to be a photo with every single recipe. So it is recipe and photo driven. There's not aside from the beginning, as far as the introduction, the dedication, and the biography. I wrote those things, but really the rest of it, it's a little blurb before each recipe, and then the
Right.
recipe I wrote. So it's like there wasn't a lot of storytelling in between, which maybe I'll
Right.
do next time. But it wasn't a lot of writing aside from the recipes and then the 3 parts I just mentioned in the beginning.
Mhm.
Well, you didn't. I just checked before I opened my mouth here, but you didn't have to do an index. I was wondering if they would make you do your own index if you did one.
That's a deal breaker. Yeah, no, thank you to that. That's, no, thanks.
Are you are you doing any more shows? Any more competitive shows?
I almost did. I don't think I can say, but I almost did a barbecue related show that I was down to, I guess, like what they told me was the final, and so they might call next year. So hopefully I'll get that, because that was I was really excited about that, and I thought that it would be perfect, the perfect type of show to do with my book coming out. So I'm hopeful that maybe there's another opportunity for that show or anything else that comes. I'm always open to that. I love cooking on TV. I love the aspect of the competition and just, all of it. Like I find it's a huge adrenaline rush. So I would do it again. Like another thing I would do again in a heartbeat is cooking on TV or any sort of TV shows.
I'm
People
quite.
people ask us a lot for people, so we'll put your
Yeah.
name on the list.
Yeah.
We don't have
Yeah.
we have a short list.
We have a very short
Yeah.
list,
So
and
Now
that's
you
good
know,
to
now you can add me to it.
and
that's
my
good to
name and
know.
Leanne's name I don't think is on
Are
it.
not on the list.
They're
No.
not on the list anymore. So that's how good. I feel real blessed to before we started the show, and I said, well, we did 2 TV shoots here this morning, but they're quick. They're
they're like
6-minute
5
bits.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot easier that way.
I have a TV, like a news segment that's going to be airing on the 5th, just locally here. It was for a show called Texas Today, that's coming out, that I already had filmed, and then that's when it's going to be airing. So there's some things that are kind of like coming in that regard, but
Yeah, well, that's good. Well,
Those are
next
actually
year.
fun to do.
yeah.
I know Leanne does a lot down there in Tampa for some of the TV stations.
I do enjoy them, but they are a lot of work, as you know. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people don't realize how much goes into a 5-minute shoot. I mean,
Right.
it's a lot.
Yeah. Does it take you, this is an abstract question here, but maybe some information people would appreciate. It takes me almost the whole day before
Yeah.
my agreement with the ABC here is that I shoot 2 at a time. I shoot the live one and then we shoot another one so I don't have to go up to the station all the time. Okay. And then the
Mhm.
ones I do like here at the house, they go out to other stations than other parts of the country. But it takes me a full day to prep and get everything and
Mhm.
the pack everything up if I'm going to the station or the night before here in the kitchen or out where you and I work together, Leanne, setting everything up and kind of, okay, step one, all the steps are in my mind and laying
Well,
it out that
especially
way.
if you're doing long cooks, because you got
Yeah.
to do that the day before.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be arduous. for
Yeah.
sure.
It's very, very difficult. So all you want to be, and I say that not sarcastically, but if you think you want to cook on TV, it is a lot of work. I'll say that.
Make
Yeah,
sure
there's a-
you're completely organized.
Yes. Yeah.
The shopping, the
Especially if it's
prepping.
live.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shopping, the prepping, the cooking, and then the presenting. I mean, all of it is, yeah, you have to be super organized. I mean, but it's even with my private chef, jobs that I do where I'm cooking for an event, that's 3 days in the making, right? Because I usually have to make more than one stop, and then you're making sauces and marinades and
Right.
dressings
Right.
and desserts and all. You
Sure.
can't just show up with a couple bags of groceries and be like, okay, what's for dinner? I mean,
Yeah.
it's days, and that's a similar experience to cooking on TV. You really have to be organized.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I had a catering company for a while, and that was a a big job. How much? Here's another abstract question, and then we'll get on to after hours here in a minute, Allie. How much Tupperware do you have? I have a ton of it because we're always using it. I know Leanne has a bunch too. Because
Oh, yeah, I just ditched a bunch though.
did you?
I'm so, yeah, it was hard for me to do it, but I did. There is too much. As a matter of fact, this morning I opened my Tupperware cabinet and they all came tumbling out and I had to reorganize
Oh, no.
it.
Yeah.
And I was like cursing myself, like, oh my God, here we go again. Why can't I get this organized so that when I open the door, it stays in and I can pull out one piece without the whole thing come tumbling out?
Well, it's because you always want that piece on the bottom or in the
Of
middle,
course. Of
like that.
course.
But Allie, how much do you have, real quick?
I have a lot also. I mean, I have, plastic, and then I have a lot of glass, and I find that I need to put the lid with the Tupperware, even though it's not as convenient for storing it, because if I can't find a lid or whatever, I got to get rid of it.
So I'll tell you a trick. I went to my mom's house because I get so frustrated when I go there. So
Yeah.
what I did was I took nail polish,
Okay.
different color nail polish,
Yep.
and I would match the top with the bottom,
Yep.
and it would be the same color. So she knew, or I knew, instead of fishing through it, you just look for the colors and then it goes
Yep.
together. And then all the lids go in a Ziploc bag. This is square. This is round. This is large round.
There you
That's
go.
perfect. Yeah, my mom had
Yeah.
a similar idea to that too. We never got to do it, but she also was like, why aren't these just color coded? I'm like, they should be.
Yeah.
Well, the
yeah,
nail polish stays on in the dishwasher for all of you who
Oh,
are
okay.
questioning, because
Okay.
I wondered that too. So it does work.
All right. That's it. BBQ Nation, full of fun facts today about nail polish. No, I love that. I love that idea. Aly Romero's new book is Gas, Fire, Heat. Allie, you can hold yours up too, so we get a
Great book coming out June 11th, right?
right,
June 11th.
right there.
Can we get it on your site as well?
Yes, I have a link on my site. There's a
Cool.
link on my publisher, which is Familius, as well as through Abrams Books, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target. If you just Google it, you'll find it.
Okay,
Excellent.
cool.
Excellent. Allie is going to stick around for after hours, but that's it for us this week on BBQ Nation. Go out, have some fun, and please follow our big motto here: turn it, don't burn it. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome to After Hours here on The Nation. I'm JT along with Leanne Whippen, and today we're in the hot seat is Aly Romero. We've been talking about her new book, Gas, Fire, Heat, in the regular show. Now it's time to talk about some really fun stuff. You ready for this, Aly?
I'm ready.
You sure?
I am ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, well, we'll start easy with this. If you could cook for and then dine with a historical figure, who would it be and what would be on the menu?
I feel like you asked me this question last time and I like failed
Oh, yeah.
miserably.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
easiest one we have.
easiest one. Oh my
disagree.
gosh, a
No, it's
historical
not.
figure. Who would it be and what would be on the menu? I mean, historical figure, like, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, not a historical figure, but I mean, I would do anything to have one more meal with my mom or my dad, you know, preferably both of them, but not ever together.
Oh, you wanna
That's
embellish that a little bit or
Yes.
just
So with
take it
my
forward?
dad, I think that, you know, he was really like my original inspiration for getting into doing what I do. He's my original cooking inspiration. And I think sitting down with him with a beautiful glass of BV cab, which was his favorite, and a big, huge rack of lamb from New Zealand, which was also his favorite, and some roasted potatoes and some glazed carrots and a huge glass of wine. And that would make me so happy just to share with him kind of what has happened since he passed away in 2013, which really lit a fire in me, so to speak, to kind of carry it on and be where I am today. With my mom, I lost her suddenly a couple of years ago. And so that was something where, you know, again, I just would love to share where I'm at with what's going on. I think that she would be so proud knowing that I had a cookbook out. I think that I got the chance to tell her I was writing it. I think that we got to do that. But with her, it would definitely be some sort of a comfort food meal, fried chicken and I don't know, mac and cheese or something just, you know, fun and just to share and sit down at the table with each of them once again, and would be my ultimate who I'd want.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. How do you cut your sandwiches? Vertically, horizontally, or diagonally?
I cut them
Drum
vertically.
roll.
Okay.
Vertically.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do horizontal, although I can see that. And then I've seen recently where people are doing like various shapes of triangles. I just cut the sandwich.
Leanne.
Well, I've always cut my sandwiches, and my family knows this. My whole entire life, I've always cut my sandwiches into quarters.
Quarters. Okay.
Always quarters. And I don't know why that is, but it kind of jeopardizes the ingredients, but over the years I've been quite good at it.
You know what
But
would be really good in quarters is peanut butter and jelly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and
So-
jelly in quarters would be fantastic. I feel like with turkey and tomato and lettuce and cheese, like then it might all kind of fall apart for me. But
and grilled cheese, I cut into quarters diagonally, so they're in
oh,
little
okay.
triangles.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
yep.
So, Allie, do you ever cook your grilled cheese with a pizza cutter?
Do I
I
cut it with a pizza cutter? My grilled cheese. I don't. I've cut a quesadilla with a pizza cutter.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
not a
I've cut a
grilled cheese.
5-gallon bucket of ice cream with a pizza cutter.
That's a great idea.
I'm not kidding. It gives you really nice pie wedges of ice cream.
Well, there
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
great. I love that.
There you go.
Use what you got.
Use
That's
what you
right.
got. Yeah. What do you think you've learned so far living in Texas? And this doesn't have to only pertain to food, but you were below the equator and then you were in Hawaii and you were in the Bay Area and all that. And now you're deep in the heart. Well, you're in the northern part. It doesn't matter. Deep in the heart covers everything in Texas. But what do you think you've learned the most about living in Texas?
I have learned how to slow down a little bit. I think that the people here are incredibly warm and friendly, like noticeably warm and friendly. There you can feel the sense of pride of people who live in Texas. But I think that that's the overwhelming thing is just I mean, there's times where I go to the grocery store and I'm zooming around for 20 minutes and the same two people are chatting in the front of the store from when I entered the store. And it's like, it's just kind of taking time to kind of slow down a little bit and be a little bit more in the moment. The Bay Area was a pretty fast pace compared to, I feel like it's a little bit slower here, but like in a good way.
Mhm.
Okay. Who is someone that's really grabbed your attention in the food world this last, say, year or two?
I mean, I look up to so many people. I feel like, for me, it's always about kind of like who's doing something new, but not like the TikTok-y new stuff where, you know, it's more like assembling food and that sort of thing. I mean, for me, it's still about the food and the ingredients. As far as someone who's new on the scene, who's kind of grabbed my attention, you know, there's a number of people I've followed on Instagram for a while that, you know, have put out various cookbooks. I mean, I don't know that I could narrow it down to just one person.
Okay.
There's so much inspiration from so many people. So many people are doing such great things.
Mhm.
Okay. Would you recommend a career like yours for somebody who's just getting started?
Yes, if you are completely fine with being totally self-driven and also, you know, not afraid to self-promote. There's a lot of self-promotion that has to go into this job. Just to kind of like put yourself out there. It's just, for some reason, I've never been afraid of just kind of putting it out there. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and then maybe something else comes along, but I don't ever kind of like take that too personally. I mean, there's obviously occasions where I take it more to heart than others, but I think that I would recommend it, but you have to have the love and the passion. Like, it has to be all the things together that
Right.
is, like I said, nobody wakes you up in the morning and says, okay, here's the things you need to do. Like, you need to study who's doing this and who's doing that. And how do I emulate that type of success? Or how do I get to be there? Or how can I get to write a book? Like, how do I go about this? And then really just figuring it out. You have to be self-driven.
Sure. What's the worst thing you've ever eaten?
The worst thing I've ever eaten. I mean, I remember from my childhood, like, I think I had to try like liver and onions. I think that probably
Mhm.
wasn't my favorite. I think that's probably still tops the list of like worst things.
Mhm.
Not my favorite.
Tastes like dirt.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Okay.
And lima beans. I'm not a big fan of
Oh,
lima
I'm
beans.
with you there. I'm with you
Yeah.
there. My mom used to make, we got time here because it's after hours. When I graduated from college, I moved back to our home ranch. My brother and his wife were living there because they were building a house right up the road. They just moved out of town and from town, I should say. And so it was one big, I won't say happy family, but it was one big family. And my mother would make these big ass pots of lima beans. And I came home from we had three ranches there on this one road. And I came home from the one I worked at and walked in and looked at those lima beans and immediately jumped in the shower, ran upstairs, changed my clothes, went out. As I was coming out the back door, my brother was coming in. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, I'm going to go to eat Chinese food because mom's got lima beans." He says, "Give me 2 minutes. I'll meet you out front." So he went up on the other side of the house, changed his clothes. Now the table was all set. Everything was all ready to go. And he snuck out the front door, jumped over the hedge, met me on the road. We drive down to the end of the road. We lived on a dead end road. We drive down to the open end of the road. And my dad was coming home from work at that time. And he goes, "Where are you two going?" And he said, "Mom's cooked lima beans." And he goes, "Well, wait." I said, "We don't have time." And we left. And he was mad at us for a week.
Yeah.
Those were
I don't have
those.
time to explain. I gotta go.
Yeah, gotta go. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across something in the food world that you just could not master to make it the way you wanted it to?
Um, I mean, there's a number of things in the barbecue world, or, you know, smoking specifically, that are, it's trial and error. I mean, brisket, right? Brisket is like, everybody asks all the time, you know, how do you do the perfect brisket? And there's so many people out there, so many experts who will give you their opinion and give you this and give you that and tips and tricks and all of that. But that takes a while. I think that now I've got it, but that took longer than a lot of indoor cooking
Yeah.
was that sort of
Yeah.
thing. As far as something else I haven't been able to master, baking is a little bit of my nemesis. So I don't know that I, have mastered everything in the baking world. It's not my favorite.
Got it. If you could teach a politician how to barbecue, cook, whatever, who would it be?
A politician.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I want to hang out with any of those people.
Good answer. Good
I
answer.
mean, I don't know. That's a special kind of person, right? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anybody for that.
Okay.
None of them, none of the above.
All right. I'll accept that. What's your least favorite activity in the world to do?
Least favorite activity is running. I hate running.
That's mine.
Okay.
That's mine
Yeah,
too.
running is no. I mean, I do it because I have to do it, but like I watch the timer and I just wait till
Yeah,
I'm
no.
done. Yeah, I hate running.
Okay.
Yep, me too.
Do you remember the first thing you ever got in trouble for as a child?
Yes. I was a good kid. I was a rule follower. I still am, but I was always afraid to like get in trouble. But I lived in a small town. So I grew up in Sebastopol, which is 6,000 people. Literally at that point, there was one stoplight. It's in Sonoma County in the Bay Area. And it was a game day. And on game days, the cheerleaders wore their cheerleading outfits. So it was a game day. I had my cheerleading outfit on. I was with my friend Wendy. And we didn't even cut class. We cut brunch, which is like a 15-minute. It was like a rainy day. And all we wanted to do was go get a hot chocolate. I mean, this is like, right? Like really terrible stuff. So we left school. It was our senior year. We went downtown. Well, the sheriff of the town happened to be married to the secretary of the school. We're obviously standing out like sore thumbs at one stoplight town in our cheerleading uniforms, running across the street to get our hot chocolate. We didn't even skip class. We got back and he followed us back and reported us right in. And I remember at that point, it was like mail stuff. It was not like email. So I had to like keep checking the mailbox to make sure I could like get the notice out before my mom saw it because I knew she was going to be so mad at me. That's like the first thing I can really think of where I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm done. I'm done for.
Oh,
I know.
Aly.
I was a good kid. I know.
That was just a Tuesday for me. What are you talking about? What's your absolute favorite non-barbecue food or dish?
Non-barbecue food, it's gotta be, I mean, Mexican food just in totality.
Okay.
All of it. Except the rice. I don't have to eat the rice and beans. Like I make these carnitas bowls where I've got, just kind of everybody makes their own. And I make like a cilantro lime rice and I make the carnitas and I make the tomatillo salsa and the pickled red onions and the limes, the cilantro, the cotija cheese. And then I do like crispy tortilla strips on top and everybody makes their own. And it's one of my favorite things. And what's even better is the leftovers for lunch the next day. I love
Okay.
for leftovers.
What's one thing you miss about your 20s?
I miss the kids being little because at that point I was just starting to have my first baby was at 28. So I miss that stage because it's like you want them to get older, but then you kind of want them to be little again, different stages, different problems that come along with each of those. I miss that. And I don't know, I think just the way the world was. I feel like in my 20s, that was before social media and cell phones and all of that. And it was just simpler and it was just less complicated and it was just more free. I think just that stage in life I miss.
Oh, understandable. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
I would definitely be a bird or a dog because our dog gets more love than like I think anybody in this family.
Name something that your spouse was absolutely 100% correct about, but you still think he was wrong. You're blushing.
No, because we always have these back and forth where he's like, I was right. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna admit it. What was he right about that
You still think he was wrong?
I mean, I'm pretty much right a lot of the time. I'm sure
Okay.
there have been a few times,
Uh,
but they don't come to mind.
All right. All right. What, this is kind of a personal thing. What is the biggest change you think should be made, if any, in food advertising?
Um, I think that it's important to know the source of where things are coming from and how they are being produced, and if there are, things or pesticides or antibiotics, or, I think more of that needs to possibly be more available to customers, just to make sure that we're eating what's healthy for our bodies. I mean, it's like you go over to Europe and all of a sudden you feel great, and yet you're eating pasta and bread and butter and cream dishes, or, in Italy, and cheeses and wines and all these things, and suddenly you don't feel it. And I think that there's something to be said about that, because it's definitely a difference, even though you're eating kind of the same types of foods, or even dairy or carbs or whatever, but they translate different in different countries. And I don't know exactly why that is, but as far as food advertising, I would say it's just a matter of like being forthcoming with what is going into our foods that we eat.
Okay. We're almost done here. What's your favorite movie? Mine is Casablanca. I'm just giving you an example.
Okay. Mine is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
Good one.
I think that's the first time we've heard that one, Leanne.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so. What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Make my bed.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
That's what you're supposed to do, right? Like, I feel like,
That is the theory. You're supposed to start
The theory,
day.
I like that. That's the theory.
you know why? Because messes equate to, I have enough to worry about, especially with the 3 kids and all that. Like, if the more things can just be organized, then I don't look at it and go, I still have to do that. I still have to do that. I still have to do that. Or maybe you don't do that and you just walk past it and you're fine with that. That's great too, but I'm just not that person.
Okay. All right. All right. This is kind of an esoterical question, but do you think cooking could help kids who have trouble in math?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's lots of ways that you can kind of evoke different types of learning styles. So why not? I mean, it's kind of that creative outlet. Everybody learns differently. So, maybe it could. I mean, especially
Yeah.
with different measurements and things like that. Sure.
Sure. 2 more. Name one book that should be mandatory reading for everybody.
This one.
There you
Her
go.
book.
I like it.
There you go.
Walked right
That's
into that.
my
I love that. Okay, last one. What would your last meal be on death row? It would be very hard for me to imagine Aly Romero on death row, but if you were, for whatever reason, if you ever got to that,
Besides, it's still out to get me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would your last meal be?
My last meal would definitely involve courses. It would be some sort of like a magnificent seafood appetizer with crab and shrimp and lobster and maybe even a few oysters, and then it would morph into like the best steak of my life, probably a cowboy ribeye or a tomahawk steak, some sort of a bone and ribeye, and with some Maldon salt on top, and some truffle mashed potatoes, and I think I would just skip the veg at that point. And then I would go straight to a dessert, and it would have to either be something chocolate or it would have to be something fruit crumbly.
There you go.
Yep, with ice cream.
You don't have to worry about cholesterol or caloric value that day.
No.
She's
No.
also
Wine, of course,
stalling.
wine.
She's stalling death with all of her courses.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta give me time to get through them. I want like the French Laundry style of
Yes.
like death row. I want like 20 courses, all with their own wine pairing, and then I'm ready. Well, I'm
Okay.
not ready, but
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Aly Romero, her new book, Gas, Fire, Heat. This one,
that's the one.
that's the one right there. That's my little note that's in there. Thank you. You've been
thank you.
excellent
Good luck
and
with
a
your
lot of
book.
fun, and good luck with it. And if we can help you in any way, just let us know. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I appreciate the support on the new book.
No problem.
course.
We'll be back next week with Meathead, like we said, Father's Day show. And it just doesn't seem like should be that time of year already. It's so
Right.
going by so fast. Anyway, for Leanne, Aly, and myself, thanks for listening. And remember our motto here, turn it, don't burn it. Take care, everybody.